In our headlines on this Wednesday, October 29th, here in South Korea, President Lee Jae-myung plays host to his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump for a summit in the southern Korean city of Gyeongju today. Also in Gyeongju, Korean, Japanese and Chinese climate officials address energy policy cooperation with ASEAN members ahead of the APEC leaders meeting. Meanwhile, SK hynix logs an operating profit of some 11.4 trillion won, up over 60% on year, on demand for high-performance memory chips. We start our newscast today in the city of Gyeongju, where President Lee Jae-myung sat down with his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump for a second summit following their first bilateral encounter at the White House this past summer. For details on this latest face-to-face, I have my colleague Yoon Jung-min standing by live at the International Media Center in Gyeongju. Jung-min, welcome. So do walk us through their latest meeting.
Sunny, so the second summit between Presidents Lee Jae-myung and Donald Trump, following the first in Washington 2 months ago, began with a handshake, a traditional welcome, and a photo session at a national museum here in Gyeongju. The U.S. leader was awarded with the Grand Order of Mugunghwa, the nation's highest decoration, for his role as a peacemaker on the Korean Peninsula. No American leader has received such an award. Trump was also presented with a replica of a royal golden crown, a trademark of the ancient Silla kingdom, which used to be based in Gyeongju, hoping for a new era of peaceful coexistence. Take a look.
한국과 미국 간의 새로운 시대를 위해.
Yes, absolutely. That's right. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Seoul's top office says Trump's visit carries significance in that a reciprocal exchange has been completed within just 147 days since Lee's inauguration, which is the shortest interval in history. Trump landed in Korea this morning later than expected for his 2-day state visit to South Korea, and the meeting was pushed back by about an hour.
Right. Jung-min, what are some of the notable takeaways from this particular summit?
So President Lee first started off by mentioning a possible meeting between the American leader and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, which will not happen at this time. Take a listen.
김정은 위원장과의 회담을 요청을 하고 언제든지 받아들일 수 있다라고 말씀하신 것은 그 자체만으로도 이 한반도에 상당한 평화의 온기를 만들어내는 것이기도 합니다.
I know Kim Jong-un very well. We get along very well. We really weren't able to work out timing. It may take a little time. You have to have a little patience.
He also asked Trump to allow South Korea to secure fuel used for nuclear-powered submarines to better tackle tracing North Korean or Chinese submarines. Seoul has been seeking to revise the Allies' nuclear energy pact to secure more capacity in reprocessing spent fuel and enriching uranium for non-military purposes. He also noted the need to modernize the alliance and increase Korea's defense spending as he vows for greater investment in the U.S. Trump responded by expressing hopes for greater cooperation with Korea in shipbuilding. Their high-stakes meeting took place amid key differences remaining over how to organize details of the $350 billion investment to be made by Seoul in return for lower U.S. tariffs. In time for the summit, the two countries earlier signed an agreement to bolster cooperation on AI, quantum, and bio. And next year, a Korea-U.S. Joint Science and Technology Committee will be held in Washington. Back to you, Sunny.
All right, Jung-min, thank you for that coverage, and do keep us posted. Moving on then, the largest private sector forum linked to the broader APEC agenda is the APEC CEO Summit, and South Korea hopes this year that the opportunity will provide a platform for renewed commitment to regional cooperation and sustainable growth. Our correspondent Moon Ji-young reports.
Over 1,700 business leaders have gathered to explore how to foster collaboration and innovation in the Asia-Pacific region. Hosted by the Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the APEC CEO Summit officially began on Wednesday under the official theme, Bridge Business Beyond.
The global economy is now going through the massive wave of transformation. You are facing many challenges at once, like supply chain shift, the competition for the AI new technology, digital transformation, and the climate crisis too.
High-profile business leaders are set to have deep-dive conversations on a range of issues from AI and energy transition to Korean soft power. According to the Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry, this year's summit is the biggest in its 30-year history across all aspects, sessions, speakers, and duration. Key attendees at this year's APEC CEO Summit include AI chip giant CEO Jensen Huang, Amazon Web Services CEO Matt Garman, and Google's Chief Marketing Officer for Asia Pacific Simon Khan. From Korea, Samsung Electronics Chairman Lee Jae-yong, Hyundai Motor Group Executive Chair Jung Hee-sun, and LG Group Chairman Gu Gang-mo are on the list. On the first day, Wednesday, the summit featured 9 sessions covering topics such as AI, finance, the culture industry, digital currency, and going carbon neutral. In the culture-focused session, rapper and singer RM from K-pop mega group BTS delivered a special keynote speech on the soft power of Korean culture. On Thursday, the CEO Summit will have 6 sessions, including sessions on supply chains, semiconductors, digital health, and hydrogen, followed by 5 sessions on Friday, including sessions on data centers, healthcare, and energy transition. Moon Ji-young, Arirang News, Gyeongju.
Sustainability is the focus of this year's APEC-related forums, and it was at the center of a conference among climate-related officials also in the city of Gyeongju. Our senior correspondent Oh Soo-young covered the closed-door event.
Climate ambassadors from East Asia called for a combined platform to advance carbon reduction policies together as a way to drive resilient regional growth in the Asia-Pacific. Organised by the Global Green Growth Institute, the closed-door session gathered high-level officials from South Korea, Japan and China and the Association of Southeast Asian Countries to discuss energy transition, decarbonising industries and carbon markets. The roundtable took place in Gyeongju, ahead of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum in the same city this week. The International Energy Agency says the Asia-Pacific will account for half of the world's electricity consumption by this year, with growth in power demand also outpacing the global average. This calls for a significant shift from fossil fuels such as coal, gas and oil towards low-carbon sources of energy. Speakers noted the need for Korea, Japan and China to take the lead in sharing technology, resources and policies in the face of new challenges and opportunities such as artificial intelligence.
Because we know that artificial intelligence, its data center can add some pressure on our decarbonization efforts, but also we think it can be a solution as well. So it can it can increase the energy efficiency and also enhance the energy management system.
The 3 countries are the centers of the research and development and also innovation and also the leaders in terms of energy-related technologies which are essential for decarbonization.
Aligning carbon pricing mechanisms was another key topic. To motivate businesses and consumers to cut polluting activities, countries are increasingly adopting a market-based approach to cut emissions and seeking new ways to finance green tech and infrastructure amid tighter government budgets.
CJK stands for China, Japan, Korea, or Korea, Japan, and China, and Asian countries, which account for more than 1/3 of the global economy and more than 40% of global carbon emission. But the problem is even though we are developing individual carbon market, the markets are not interoperable, like the case of EU. So how can we enhance cooperation in the carbon market?
The dialogue session directly supports the APEC 2040 vision, which identifies sustainable and inclusive economic growth as a core driver for regional prosperity. Looking forward, Korea, Japan and China plan to continue their high-level discussions to share and cooperate on climate policies in a trilateral format between their governments. Oh Seong, Arirang News, Gyeongju.
SK hynix logged record earnings in the third quarter, driven by demand for high-performance memory chips needed in AI servers. The company reported an operating profit of some 11.4 trillion won, or over $7.9 billion, up more than 60% on year. Revenue jumped to around 24.5 trillion won, while net profit more than doubled to 12.6 trillion won. This marks the first time the chipmaker's quarterly profit has surpassed 10 trillion won. What's more, SK hynix expects this momentum to continue as global companies ramp up their AI investments. North Korea reportedly test-fired cruise missiles off its western coast back on Tuesday, just ahead of today's summit between President Jae-myung and his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump. Our Pyongyang covers this latest show of force.
North Korea said it test-fired strategic cruise missiles from the West Sea on Tuesday, a day before U.S. President Donald Trump's visit to South Korea to meet with President Lee Jae-myung in Gyeongju. According to the North state-run Korean Central News Agency on Tuesday, the missiles were launched vertically from a warship and flew for more than 2 hours before striking their intended target. Kim Jong-un was not present at the launch, and North Korean state media, including the Rodong-sinmun, did not report on the test, a move that observers say may indicate Pyongyang sought to limit the level of provocation. Park Jong-cheon, vice chairman of the ruling party's Central Military Commission who oversaw the launch, said the test was part of efforts to continuously expand the operational space of North Korea's war deterrence means and to enhance the reliability of strategic attack systems. The missile launch came as Trump continues to express willingness to meet the North Korean leader at the demilitarized zone during his stay in South Korea. However, North Korea has yet to respond to Trump's proposal. This shows a contrast to 2019, when the then Vice Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee replied just hours after Trump's surprise tweet proposing a DMZ meeting that led to their brief encounter at Panmunjom. Analysts say Kim's silence may reflect caution amid Washington's continued push for denuclearization, despite Trump hinting at possible sanctions relief. Pyongyang also appears to be bolstering ties with China and Russia to gain leverage before any talks with the U.S. Pyongyang, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, over in the Middle East, Israel launched a wave of airstrikes in Gaza after accusing Hamas of violating the U.S.-backed truce agreement. Our Lee Seung-jae has the latest.
Tensions in Gaza flared again on Tuesday, despite an ongoing U.S.-brokered ceasefire. Gaza's Civil Defense Agency said Israel carried out a series of airstrikes after accusing Hamas of violating the truce and attacking Israeli troops. At least 2 people were killed when one strike hit a house in Gaza City. The agency said 3 strikes in total were launched, including one near Al-Shifa Hospital. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office confirmed he ordered what it called powerful strikes in response to what Israel says were attacks by Hamas on its soldiers inside Gaza. The latest escalation also comes as Netanyahu revealed that the remains returned by Hamas on Monday were actually body parts belonging to a victim recovered nearly 2 years ago. He called the move a clear violation of the ceasefire agreement and said he would convene military and defense chiefs for an emergency meeting to decide Israel's next steps. Israeli media report possible options include halting humanitarian aid, expanding Israeli control in Gaza, or striking Hamas leadership. 13 hostage bodies are still believed to be in Gaza, and the slow return of those remains is threatening to derail the fragile truce. Hamas has claimed difficulty locating the bodies due to widespread destruction, while Israel accuses the group of deliberately stalling. 이승재, Arirang News.
Back on the domestic front, findings for the month of August show the number of newborns and marriages remaining in positive territory. Our Kim Do-yeon has more.
The number of newborns in South Korea for August 2025 has been tallied at 20,867. According to the August 2025 Population Trends Report from the Ministry of Data and Statistics on Wednesday, this figure is an increase of 764 or 3.8% from the same month last year. The monthly number of births has now seen year-on-year increases for 14 consecutive months. This figure is the highest for that month in 3 years. Marriages also saw a significant increase, hitting an 8-year high for the month of August. The number of marriages was tallied at 19,449, an 11% increase from the previous year. The ministry analyzed that the rise in marriages and changing perceptions are impacting the birth rate.
The background for the increase in marriages and births appears to be influenced by a positive change in perception towards marriage and childbirth. The continuous increase in marriages can be seen as affecting the increase in newborns.
The total fertility rate, the average number of children a woman is expected to have in her lifetime, was 0.77 for August, up 0.02 from the previous year. In contrast, the number of deaths in August was 28,971, a 9.8% decrease from last year. The number of divorces also fell by 5.5% to 7,196. As deaths outnumbered births, the population saw a natural decrease of 8,105. However, this gap has narrowed compared to the natural decrease of 12,018 recorded in August 2024. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
On the entertainment front, as tangible indication of their popularity, K-pop songs are now competing against each other on global music charts. Our Yeon-jin explains.
Even without an entry from BTS, with the group preparing for their full group album release for next year, K-pop hasn't stopped breaking records. The main boost has been from the songs on the soundtrack of the animated film K-pop Demon Hunters. After entering the US Billboard chart last July and steadily climbing the rankings, these songs ultimately brought K-pop to the very top of major English language pop charts.
Number 1 is Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters.
What adds to the excitement is that 4 songs from the same soundtrack made it onto Billboard's Hot 100's top 10 simultaneously, which was a first in Billboard history, driving friendly competition. Adding to this has been the recent attention drawn to Stray Kids, with another K-pop track fighting for the top spot on the album charts, creating an unprecedented record of global charts being dominated entirely by K-pop acts. And K-pop fever could potentially heighten through the year's end, with BLACKPINK set to make their long-awaited return as soon as November.
I hope BLACKPINK's new album will be out by November at the latest.
Rosé, whose song 아파트 became the longest charting K-pop hit ever on Billboard's Hot 100, recently won the 2025 MTV Video Music Awards Song of the Year, one of America's 4 major music awards. Returning from their world tour, the full group album that BLACKPINK will be releasing for the first time in over 3 years is expected to draw major attention not only in Korea but across the world. Yeon-jin, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you the latest stories from around the globe. U.S. tech giant Amazon confirmed on Tuesday plans to cut 14,000 corporate jobs this year, a major restructuring designed to prepare the company for the AI era. The cuts, about 4% of Amazon's global corporate workforce, begins this week as part of a broader plan to make the company leaner and faster, according to a memo from Senior Vice President Beth Giladi. Giladi said the move will help Amazon operate like the world's biggest startup and respond quickly as artificial intelligence reshapes the tech industry. Amazon also says it will hire in key areas and prioritize affected staff for new roles. The company, which previously cut 27,000 positions in 2023, has warned that further job reductions may follow as automation replaces some human work. In Rio de Janeiro on Tuesday, at least 64 people were killed in the city's deadliest police operation ever, just days before it hosts major global climate events. Officials say the raid targeted a criminal gang network known as the Red Command. The death toll confirmed by Rio Governor Claudio Castro includes 4 police officers and is more than double the previous record for fatalities in a single police action. The raid came ahead of next week's C40 climate summit and Prince William's Earthshot Prize ceremony. Authorities have a history of mounting large-scale operations before major international gatherings, including the 2016 Olympics and the 2024 G20 summit. In Kenya, a small passenger plane crashed early Tuesday morning, killing 10 tourists and a local pilot. The aircraft was flying from the resort town of Diani to the Masai Mara game park when it crashed at 5:30 a.m. local time. Authorities say the victims were 8 Hungarians, 2 Germans, and the Kenyan pilot. Officials have launched an investigation into the crash, citing poor weather and low visibility as possible factors. The Kenya Civil Aviation Authority says recovery operations are underway, while the airline Mombasa Air Safari is providing support to victims' families. In Lagos, Nigeria on Tuesday, the United States revoked the visa of Wole Soyinka, the Nobel Prize-winning author and Africa's first Nobel laureate in literature. Soyinka, aged 91, revealed at a literary event that the U.S. consulate in Lagos asked him to surrender his passport so his visa could be physically canceled. He described the notice as a curious love letter and joked he was too busy to comply. The revocation ends his ability to travel to the United States for cultural and literary events, where he previously taught and lectured for decades. Soyinka said he had torn up his U.S. green card and renounced his American residency in protest over Donald Trump's first presidential election win. Chu Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
The early winter cold has eased off with the sun shining under clear autumn skies today, but it was colder than usual this morning as temperatures plunged below 0 degrees in Kimcheon in Gyeongbuk-do province and Changsu in Jeollabuk-do province. With a quick rise in temperatures during the day, the daily temperature differences widened above 15 degrees. Tomorrow and Friday, the daytime temperature in Seoul will rise to nearly 20 degrees Celsius, leading to milder spells than usual. As well as in Gyeongju, where APEC 2025 kicked off today, the temperatures will also rise to nearly 20 degrees with clouds. Tomorrow morning, Seoul and Gwangju will start off at 8 degrees, Chuncheon, Daejeon, and Gyeongju at 5 degrees. Highs will rise up to around 20 degrees in most parts of the country. However, the morning temperature in Seoul will drop to 3 degrees on Monday. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
Those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. Coming up right after this break is our daily panel session, and today we touch upon the second summit between South Korea and the U.S.